Have you ever looked around and wondered why it feels like you're carrying so much while everyone else seems to keep moving? You're the one remembering everything, planning everything, holding everyone together, making sure things get done. And even when people care about you, you still feel like you're carrying the weight by yourself. Maybe you even caught yourself thinking, it would be nice if someone noticed how much I'm carrying without me having to explain it. Today, I want to talk about that feeling. The feeling that you're carrying everything alone. Because many people quietly live with this burden without realizing how long they've been carrying it. So if you've ever found yourself feeling like you're the one everyone depends on, wishing someone would ask how you're really doing, struggling to ask for help, even when you're overwhelmed, believing it's easier to do everything yourself, feeling emotionally alone, even when you're surrounded by people, or wondering why you rarely feel fully supported. Now, this conversation may explain more than you realize. I'd like to welcome everyone. I'm Janine Naus, your grief and trauma relief specialist, and this is another healing step session where we gently increase awareness around emotional patterns many people have carried for years without fully understanding them. Now, today's topic is, why do I feel like carrying everything alone? And I want to approach this with compassion because many people didn't choose this way of living. They just simply slowly adapted to it. So let's start with our first teaching point for this topic, when self-reliance becomes a way of life. See, for many people, carrying everything alone didn't begin with adulthood. It began much earlier. Maybe there wasn't someone you could consistently lean on. Maybe asking for help didn't feel safe. Maybe you learned that your needs came after everyone else's. Maybe you discovered that depending on people often led to disappointment. So your nervous system adapted. I'll handle it. I'll figure it out. I won't ask. I'll take care of it myself. And then over time, self-reliance became more than a skill. It became protection. And while that protection may have helped you through difficult seasons, it can quietly become exhausting when it turns into believing you have to carry everything alone forever. Many people become so capable that others naturally assume they don't need support. But being capable doesn't mean you don't get tired. Now let's move on to our next teaching point, which is about the quiet loneliness of always being the strong one. It's one of the hardest parts about carrying everything alone, is that other people often don't see it. They see someone who gets things done, someone who stays calm, someone who can handle a lot. What they don't always see are the decisions you're making, the worries you're holding, the emotions you've quietly set aside, the moments when you wish someone else would step in. Sometimes people carrying this pattern don't ask for help, not because they don't want support, but because they've become so accustomed to being the helper. So receiving support can feel unfamiliar and even uncomfortable. And you may tell yourself, they're busy. I don't want to burden anyone. I should be able to handle this. And then little by little, those thoughts can create emotional distance, not because people don't care, but because you've learned to carry so much without letting others see what's beneath the surface. And the result can be a deep sense of loneliness, even in the middle of meaningful relationships. And our final teaching point is about beginning to let others walk beside you. See, healing doesn't mean becoming dependent on everyone around you. It means recognizing that carrying everything alone was never the only option. So, one gentle question to ask yourself is, what makes it difficult for me to let someone support me? There isn't one right answer. For some people, it's fear of being disappointed. For others, it's fear of feeling vulnerable. For others, it's simply because no one modeled what healthy support looked like. And awareness helps us notice those patterns with compassion. And then sometimes healing begins with something very small, allowing someone to help, allowing yourself to answer honestly when someone asks how you're doing, allowing yourself to say, I'm having a hard day. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. See, support doesn't take away your strength, it often helps you sustain it. So today, I'd like to leave you with one gentle reflection. If you didn't believe you had to carry everything by yourself, what might become possible? What burden might feel a little lighter? What conversation might you finally have? What support might you allow yourself to receive? See, many people have spent years proving how strong they are, while quietly longing for someone to walk beside them. And awareness doesn't change everything overnight, but it does create space for a different experience, one where strength and support can exist together. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. And if today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What part of today's conversation stayed with you? And if you'd like to continue these conversations in a supportive, compassionate community, I'd love to welcome you to the Bridge to Healing community on my Facebook. On Facebook, it's a Facebook group. And if you're ready to explore these patterns more personally, my free Healing Steps Clarity Sessions offers a gentle place to begin. Thank you for being here today, and take gentle care of yourself this week. You don't have to prove your strength every moment of the day. Sometimes healing begins by allowing yourself to stop carrying the weight in silence. Thank you. Goodbye. See you soon.